raising concerns about the impact on public health and education. Furthermore, Trump has threatened military action against the Panama Canal and proposed that Canada become the 51st state. These developments have sparked debates about the future direction of the United States.
So you didn't do it. I want you to game out how things could unfold.
In scenario, Trump's authoritarian power grab, spring to 2026. Spring 2025, the purge of government and institutional control. Trump has already gutted USAID, the Department of Education, the CDC, and NIST. DIA programs are being dismantled, and universities face threats to lose funding unless they comply with ideological purity tests. The markets crash due to instability and fears of economic mismanagement, leading to mass layoffs and rising civil unrest. Trump pushes for the annexation of Canada and Greenland, setting the stage for geopolitical tensions. The administration starts increasing rhetoric against domestic enemies, labeling protesters and political opponents as threats to national security. Summer 2025, manufactured crisis and suppression of dissent. Protests explode nationwide, larger than the Black Lives Matter demonstrations of 2020. Trump deploys militarized federal forces using the National Guard, private contractors, and loyalist factions in law enforcement to violently suppress protests. A major incident, possibly a false flag attack, e.g. a government-orchestrated crisis blamed on Antifa or the left, is used to justify further crackdowns. The administration enacts emergency measures, such as mass arrests of protest leaders, surveillance expansions, and restrictions on internet access. Fall 2025, the state of emergency and martial law. With riots escalating and economic conditions worsening, Trump declares a national state of emergency. The Insurrection Act is invoked, allowing him to deploy the military domestically, bypassing governors. DHS, the FBI, and the military are purged of any remaining officials who resist Trump's directives. Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth oversee military and law enforcement operations. Journalists and opposition figures are arrested or harassed. Critical media outlets face shutdowns or nationalization. Republican-led state legislatures begin aggressive voter suppression efforts under the guise of preventing unrest, effectively disenfranchising large portions of the electorate. Trump-controlled courts rubber stamp his actions, neutralizing judicial challenges. Winter 2025, dismantling the electoral process. As 2026 midterms approach, Trump sows doubt about election legitimacy, calling them rigged in advance. Red states push for emergency delayed elections due to unrest, arguing that conditions are too dangerous. Congressional Republicans propose temporary extensions of terms to stabilize the country. Trump flirts with postponing elections indefinitely using national security rhetoric. Resistance movements escalate, but crackdowns become more brutal, with mass detentions, travel restrictions, and expanded surveillance. Some military factions begin pushing back, but Trump purges dissenters. Spring 2026, the authoritarian consolidation. If protests continue, Trump justifies indefinite martial law, suspending civil liberties. The election is revised, potentially allowing only loyal voters or using a compromised voting system. Opposition leaders either flee, are arrested, or go underground. A parallel paramilitary force emerges, loyal only to Trump, intimidating dissenters. The U.S. is functionally no longer a democracy, with the government shifting into a single-party rule backed by military and corporate elites. Tabor, possible endgames. Full dictatorship. Trump successfully dismantles elections and rules indefinitely, either through continued states of emergency or legal manipulations. 2. Civil conflict. Protests and resistance escalate into full-blown domestic conflict, possibly leading to a fractured country or military intervention. In 3. Internal collapse. Economic and international pressures force an internal collapse, potentially leading to Trump's removal, but with significant damage done. 4. International isolation. The U.S. becomes a rogue state, with allies cutting ties and authoritarian nations, Russia, China, filling the power vacuum. Conclusion. This isn't just theoretical. It follows patterns seen in history, from Hitler's Reichstag fire to Putin's consolidation of power. But the real question is, how much resistance will there be before it's too late?